I don't know what to do. We just had our baby 6 weeks ago, and he told me about his business trip. I got a little upset because I'm all alone here, and this is our first child, so I don't know what the H we're doing most of the time. I couldn't just refuse to let him go, however, because I knew when I met him that traveling is part of his job, so he left. He's very supportive otherwise. Very happy about being a father, and he called us maybe 5 to 6 times a day to see if we're doing all right. Last night I was scrolling down Instagram, and there he was in the background of a local celebrity I followed, sitting in a restaurant with his friend from university. The woman who always disliked me and who he told me not to worry about. He's been on this trip since Monday and is supposed to come back on Monday. I'm so heartbroken. I don't know what to do. I will obviously talk to him when he gets home, but what are my options afterwards? I'm a stay-at-home wife right now, and I haven't worked since I graduated 5 years ago. My husband makes a good living, and he didn't think working was a necessity. I don't have a family except him. If I leave him, how am I going to fend for my son? Who is going to take care of him if I start working? I feel so trapped. I'm so overwhelmed with the amount of messages and support. I'm going to make it clear here that I'm not going to jump into any conclusions yet. I just had my suspicions about the friend, and I was always wary of her. I'm going to give my husband the benefit of the doubt, of course, but unfortunately, my gut feeling is telling me this is what I'm dreading the most. Hello again. I'm so happy I found you guys here. My husband is home now. It was what I feared. I don't know if I did a terrible job of explaining the situation in my last post, but the influencer lives in our city, and she was in a restaurant in our city. My husband was supposed to be out of town on business. I took the advice you gave me about influencers not usually posting same-day pictures, but it still struck me as odd because he has never mentioned having dinner with this friend. I tried to contact the influencer, but she has over 1.5 million followers. As I said, my husband's work includes a lot of traveling, and he usually does a video tour in his hotel room for me, or sends me some pictures. This time he didn't. So yesterday when he called, I asked him to FaceTime me to see our son. He told me to wait because the room was messy, and he called after 5 minutes. We talked, and he saw our son, and then I asked him for a mini tour. He showed me some parts, and I took some screenshots. My husband laughed about me taking screenshots, and was a bit confused. It isn't that unusual for me to do anyway, so he didn't make a fuss. I later went to Hotels.com and started comparing pictures. I found the hotel within 15 minutes. It's less than 10 minutes from our place. It was a bit late, but I took my son and went anyway. The front desk didn't want to tell me what room he was in. I asked her to tell him to come down, but she refused to do that too since it was midnight. I texted him to come down to the reception. When he came down, he was like he was seeing a ghost. I told him to take me to his hotel room now. He refused and asked me to go home and that he would explain everything later. I told him if he didn't take me to his room now and without warning his friend, I will scream. I don't know why I wanted to see her. It's like, even after finding out he's been in town all this time, and even after seeing the look on his face, I still wanted to catch them to drive the message home, so my heart doesn't cave to his excuses and explanations that he was already starting on. He refused, however, to take me up. So I just left with my baby. He came home maybe an hour after me, and he wanted to talk and explain when I'm ready. I'm not ready yet. I asked him to move out and leave me be for the time being. He agreed. I don't know why he did this. Why did he marry me? I'm 29 and he's 39. His mistress is 39. She's a single mom and they're more compatible and they get along very well. And they obviously love each other, so why didn't he just be with her instead and save us all the heartbreak? Honestly, what's wrong with people? More update. I'm sorry, I don't want to make any more updates. My husband has agreed to move out of our apartment. Since we have a prenup, I'm essentially not entitled to anything. But he has offered the apartment since I have nowhere to go. I told him I needed more assurance that the apartment is for me and my son. He's going to transfer the deeds in my name, whatever that means. I'm also going to get alimony or allowance or whatever it's called until my son is old enough to start looking for jobs. All of this conversation was recorded. On Monday, I'm going to talk to a lawyer to make sure what my husband promised me is going to happen. In return, he asked me for separation and not divorce for 2 years. I agreed about the other woman. I don't know if it's worth my energy to find out more. They have been friends with benefits when they're single, but never had a relationship. They've known each other for 20 years. I didn't want to hear anything about them. I always had my suspicions. He made the usual excuses about her meaning nothing. It was a mistake, and this was their first time because he felt neglected because I wasn't as interested in him as before the baby. He swore he never slept with her during our marriage until this week. I don't believe him. If they end up together, I wouldn't be surprised, even though he assured me it will never happen because he doesn't love her. Original poster mentions in the comments that she is seeking a divorce lawyer soon, so hopefully another update based on her being active in the comments. So I've left the flare to ongoing. Update. Hi again. I wasn't planning a new update. I am so appreciative of all the support I've got here, but also I have received a big amount of hate. It's a small number compared with the majority of people who showed me support, but I don't know why it got to me anyway. Maybe because I already feel vulnerable, or maybe because these things were always in the back of my head. I was attacked for being a stay-at-home wife, for being young, for being a gold digger, for having an older husband, for having a rich husband, for having a baby with my husband, for exposing my husband's infidelity, for not having a safety net, for trusting my husband, for not trusting my husband enough, for demanding that the man I love leave our home after he cheated on me, and it goes on. I should have just ignored everything and concentrated on healing. And I'm going to do that, but I have a small final update to share with the thousands that cared and supported me. I don't have a family because I'm an only child. My parents died when I was 5. My grandmother raised me. She died when I was 20. Many have requested an update about his friend. I texted her that she's an ugly, pathetic, cheap harlot who always hated me and always was jealous of me. That even if she ended my marriage and ruined my happiness and the chance for my baby to grow up with both his parents and the future siblings we've planned, she will never have my husband because she's an ugly, pathetic, cheap puss. It has never happened and it will never happen. But if her goal in life was to sneak around in hotels with married men, then congratulations. I told her I wished what she got from him was worth ruining my life, but that I'm happy that I at least don't need to have her in my life again. I didn't feel any better, to be honest, and regret stooping so low. She texted me back. A picture of her and my husband at the hotel with the winking emoji. I forwarded it to my husband. This was yesterday. He showed up around dinner and told me everything. He slept with her during our relationship. He told me he was sorry and that he was relieved. Now I knew everything because she can't hold it against him anymore. I kicked him out. I regret knowing all this. We had our first meeting with the lawyers today. The prenup covers my husband's assets up until we get married. He comes from a wealthy family. I'm not going to touch any of that. My husband is self-made, however. I'm entitled to 50% of everything he made since we got married. My husband also offered our apartment as an apology, even if the apartment was from his family, and he's going to pay child support. It's really all I need right now, and much more than I expected. Divorce takes a couple of years, or even more sometimes, especially when children are involved. I think my husband lives with the hopes that I'll forgive him down the road. I know he's always been generous, but he must have some kind of hope to make me this offer, because it can't be just remorse. He apologized for hurting me, and I can't even describe how lonely and devastated I'm right now. He and my son are my only family, and I've lost him, and all for what? I can't believe I still love him so very much, and since he moved out, I haven't stopped crying. I miss him. How could he do this to us for an ugly, pathetic, cheap puss?